In a small, forgotten village nestled between foggy hills, there stood an old manor that had been abandoned for decades. The locals called it Hollow Hill Manor, a place shrouded in eerie legends and untold secrets. No one dared go near it after dusk, for they said the house was alive with whispers. Years ago, the manor belonged to the prestigious but reclusive Hawthorne family. Their legacy was one of wealth and mystery, but the family vanished one stormy night without a trace. The manor, once filled with laughter and joy, now stood as a decaying monument to forgotten history. A young historian, Evelyn, fascinated by the tales of the Hawthornes, ventured into the manor one foggy evening, determined to uncover its secrets. Armed with only a flashlight and her curiosity, she stepped into the grand foyer. The air was cold, thick with dust, and the walls seemed to groan under the weight of years gone by. The silence was almost oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of the house settling. Her eyes were drawn to a grand portrait on the far wall, a painting of the Hawthorne family, standing proudly before their home. The father, a tall man with cold eyes; the mother, a delicate woman with a knowing smile; and two children, their faces serene, yet unreadable. But there was something unsettling about the painting, something that made Evelyn's skin crawl. As she gazed deeper into the portrait, she could have sworn the eyes of the mother moved, just slightly. She blinked and shook her head, thinking it was the effect of the dim light. But when she looked again, the mother's eyes were not only moving, they were staring directly at her. Suddenly, a soft whisper filled the air. "Leave this place. Leave now," it murmured, barely audible, but unmistakable. Evelyn froze. Her heart pounded as the whispering grew louder, and the voices of the family in the portrait seemed to grow restless. The mother's eyes followed her every move, her expression twisting into something darker, more menacing. Frantically, Evelyn turned to leave, but the house seemed to close in around her. The walls seemed to stretch and shift, and the whispers turned to cries. "You cannot leave!" they moaned, each voice a hollow echo of despair. The door she had entered through was no longer where it should have been, and every step she took led her deeper into the house, further away from the exit. Panic set in as the portrait's eyes followed her with a haunting intensity. Then, with a chilling cold, the whisper came again, louder than before. "You're one of us now." Evelyn turned back to the portrait, but the family had vanished, replaced by a shadowy figure, a tall, thin man with cold eyes, dressed in the same clothes as the father in the painting. His mouth moved, whispering the same words over and over. "You're one of us now." In a final, desperate attempt, Evelyn dashed for the back door, finally breaking free of the manor's grip. As she stumbled out into the moonlit night, she felt a cold hand brush against her shoulder. She spun around, but the manor was silent, the whispers gone. She never returned to the manor, but from that night on, Evelyn could hear the whispers, faint but persistent wherever she went. And sometimes, when she looked into a mirror, she could see the face of the mother from the portrait, smiling knowingly, as if welcoming her into the family forever.